Welcome to Smart Cherry's Thoughts. This is Sai from India.
Oh, pretty good day. Can't complain too much. I think it's got to be close to what 10:30, 11 o'clock where you are.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. How's your day, man?
My day is good. How is your day started?
Um, busy as usual. There's always something to do on one end of the spectrum or the other. But you know, as long as it's productive, it's okay. So today's been productive so far, and obviously this is very productive. So I'm excited to talk to you.
Thank you very much, firstly, for giving me opportunity to interview you for my YouTube channel and podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I got to see a few of the interviews you've done. It's an incredible idea. So and so far, it's from what I've seen, it looks great. I think it's really interesting. So thank you for having me.
So I can see you are into multiple jobs and multiple roles. And I thought to tell about you and the work that you are doing to my audience. Can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. My name is Bill Rush, professionally William Rush, obviously. Um, I'm a licensed attorney, lawyer. Um, I'm not as familiar with the Indian justice system, obviously, as I am with the justice systems here in North America and part most of Europe. But my understanding is you have you have federal constitution, state and federal courts, and state courts actually hear federal cases throughout India as well. Um, Here, I primarily focus on the state courts of Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, and the federal courts of Pennsylvania. Live outside Philadelphia, mostly civil cases. So, business disputes, contracts, documents, things like that. But occasionally, um, you'll represent somebody in a divorce, child custody, and occasionally criminal law. Apart from being an attorney, which obviously takes up a lot of time, I'm also a relatively new filmmaker and screenwriter. So we're shooting a film in less than 2 weeks. We start a film of a Stephen King adaptation. So we're excited about that. I just want to make sure it's good and Stephen King doesn't hate it. And writing some screenplays and things like that. So writing, directing, lawyering, and then all the time uh, being a dad to three really cool daughters. So um, that pretty much takes up my days. You know.
Original Cinematic is your film production company.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. You know, uh, it's funny because if I'm directing the movie, I don't want to be the one to shoot the movie. To I don't want to be the one setting up the camera and doing all that unless it's a documentary. I feel like directing it takes sort of a supreme talent like Quentin Tarantino to be able to control the camera. So even though I can be a cinematographer for someone else, I have the equipment, I have the cameras, sound, and everything to shoot someone else's movie for them. I don't want to shoot my own movie. I feel it's really important to have somebody else's input that might actually help your vision come to life better than you would if you're doing too many jobs. You need somebody to rein you in a little bit. And when I write scripts, it's kind of the same thing. I'll write a script, but I have my wife read every one of them because I want her perspective on it. I want her to make sure that I'm doing my job and it's believable and everything like that. But the production company side of it is if somebody wants to make a movie and has a proposal, I'll happily, you know, if it works and we can get the money together and the locations together, if the script looks promising, I'll shoot a movie. Absolutely. So that's kind of the production side of it, where it's, you know, even though my production company is making my movie, I hire the people that help edit it and you know, I'm talking a lot, but the save me from myself. I have an editor and a cinematographer to save me from myself. You know, that's kind of where I see it. But when it's somebody else's project, I can provide that influence and I can see it from outside. You know, um, so that's kind of what we do.
And when your movie journey started, what made you to come into filmmaking, and what is your motivation?
Oh, you know, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. It's funny. When I first when I first went to college, I was in journalism, and I very quickly, even before I graduated, I was writing for various news publications, and I was doing some TV and radio work, and I was being groomed to be a television on-air personality, but I didn't like it. I wanted to do cinema, and I was very discouraged from doing that when I had this opportunity to be in journalism, or you know, once the opportunity came to go to law school, um, to become a lawyer attorney, um, nobody was supportive of the concept of doing something else. You know, it could have been any other choice that I wanted to make, but if I basically, my friends, my family, if you have the opportunity to be an attorney, um, and you give that up to try and make movies or write, or do anything else really, then you're making a terrible mistake. That's what I was told. I believed it. So it's always been there. Um, and of course, once the pandemic happened, and you kind of realize quickly that you're not always going to, you run out of time. You get one life, um, probably, and you should probably live it to the best you can. And I was fortunate enough, having been an attorney for many years, that I take the time of the pandemic to learn some new things and to maybe take a chance on something like this, because you never know how many chances you'll get to do something. So you should take the opportunities if you can.
So, how many movies you did?
I mean, we're still making the first one. Um, I wrote the script several times, and it was one of those things where I've always been a big believer in, you know, people want something right away, and I understand that. And of course, it's great to have instant gratification, um, but I've always believed that preparation is extremely important. So it was. I had a year to. I have a year to make the movie. We should be finished at the end of January, and I took over 6 months to make sure the script was right, that I could visualize the characters, costumes, research, so that when the time came to do it, we'd do it. Now, once I got that script out of the way and we cast the actors we needed and everything, um, I immediately started writing the next script and another script. And I read other people's scripts all the time too. People send me their scripts to read, um, and it's one of those things where it's kind of, it looks like it's happening all at once, but it's not really. It's been, you know, years of passionate side study, and then a lot of preparation before I was even willing to attempt a script. And then when that was okay, um, make sure my photography was decent. And once I could tell a story through pictures, and I could write a story that people would listen to, I knew that if we made that a camera and somebody with talent could act that out, that then that would be the time. So that's the time. I hope that when we finish this movie, we get right into the next one, and then right into the next one after that.
So, how your previous experience? You worked as a journalist and you wrote about news topics. So, how that experience is helping you to be on the film side and understand filmmaking?
Well, as far as the TV aspect, that experience, you do see how a production takes place, even though it's largely the same every time. It's a newsroom, and your producers, your camera people, there's still a news director. Everybody's in the same spot, kind of over and over again, and you shoot, you see the cameras, timing, so you get something from that. It's not anything the same, but it's sort of like a foundation. The writing side of it is more or less, you learn about people. I think the good and the bad, and you learn how to take something that's happened and condense it down very quickly into a story that somebody will understand. Like, um, not to use like a horrible example, but from your part of the world, I've never been to your part of the world, but um, good journalists have been able to write or video events that have happened throughout India, both domestically and various international relations, in such a way that it tells me that story thousands of miles away about a place I've never been in a very quick fashion. And it's by no means intimate knowledge of the politics or culture or anything like that, but it's enough to say that this is what happened, give you an image of that, and like the tiniest bit of understanding. So when you talk about something as complicated as the Pakistan-India border, and how incredibly tense that particular border is, I don't think people throughout the Western world really understand that. And if you watch somebody who's done the job of writing 10 pages, or taking 10 minutes to explain that in video, it at least gives you something, an idea that this is a thing that exists. Um, and that's kind of true about any country, any world event that you don't regularly visit, especially where English might not be a first language for an American audience. So when it comes to what I would do, would be state level or local level, which more people can relate to. So you can cut a story down quicker because you don't have to explain as much. Everybody already has a background. Um, so that's how I guess it shaped it, is to tell a story that actually happened in a way that anybody can understand it. You know, that would be the one thing, I think, or the most important thing I took from that.
And as a filmmaker, what genres you like?
Oh, wow. Um, it's I'm I might be what they call a film snob a bit. I think um, I I mean, I want to watch a movie from every country. That's one thing. And Indian films was actually like a 6-hour epic mafia crime movie called the Gangs of Wasseypur, which was 2 movies. Incredible. I love dramas, horror films, probably my favorite. Like, if you talk like a single category, like, what kind of films are you into? Like, what do you like to watch?
I like adventurous, historical. mythological. I like to watch any genre which draws my attention.
All right, you said it adventure first. That's a great one. What happens when you become a father is your kids find one movie, and it's usually Disney, and they watch it 100 times, and then the last thing you want to do is ever see that movie again. I've seen Frozen so many times I can quote it. It's by no means one of my favorite movies, but what I love about adventure movies is, if I take something like, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Star Wars, I would say is a serious adventure movie. Back to the Future is an adventure movie. E.T. Basically anything Steven Spielberg ever did is kind of a remarkable adventure movie. I can show that to that's a movie I love, and I can show that to my children, and they're into it. They can they get into it. They appreciate Jurassic Park and E.T. were two of the first ones they really loved, and those are thrilling, suspenseful adventure movies. Jurassic Park might be a horror movie, but the kids love it, and I love it, and so it's a good way to spread that on. So, I think you have a good taste in cinema if you like that kind. And historical stuff, that's harder. I can't sell my kids on watching 3 hours of Lincoln, or it's too intense for them. But there's a Russian film about the Russian experience in World War II, which is it's not a true person, but it is very much true events, called Come and See, and it's so intense, about this boy that's drafted basically into the Russian campaign to fight the Nazis, um, on the Eastern Front, and it is it's one of the most difficult films to watch. But historically, I think it's very important to see things that make you uncomfortable because of how brutal they are. Downfall from Germany, which was about Hitler's last days in the bunker, in Berlin, was very difficult to watch, but it's absolutely incredible. Um, I think historical films, when they don't try to put a positive light on negative events, when they try to tell the story what happened with all the good and bad and not spare you, I think they're extraordinarily important. I think there are a lot of people out there that might not have been as aware of the atrocities of the Holocaust without Schindler's List. You know, so I love I love historical films. Um, the ones that are, I guess I should say, I love serious historical films, more or less. Yeah.
And to be an filmmaker, it is very important for you to have extraordinary imagination. So I can understand you have great imaginations that are making and pushing you and motivating you to uh, put something, collect it and put it in the real world and show to the world.
Yeah, I think that's essential. You know, I think sometimes you can see a movie and it's almost like people making it, and it's not always the director or the writer. A lot of times it's the studio or producer who forces a change or something like that. Um, you can see when there's a lack of imagination, uh, in film, and that's why you'll end up running into these movies that constantly you see the same thing over and over again. You know, um, I think imagination is very vital. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with originality and being entertaining. If you can bring it to life, it's not always possible. Um, you know, depending on what I can imagine some crazy things. I don't know how you would actually make them onto a film. unless you had millions of dollars, and then computers can kind of ruin things a bit. Like, not everybody can be Spielberg, who can make dinosaurs look real. Like, you'll believe dinosaurs are there, and it's crazy because he's just that good. Um, or he can make you think a shark wants to kill you, like, it has a motivation. That's incredible to me. So the imagination part of it is great, and on the page when I write it, certainly I can put it there. But it's about whether or not you can put it on video, and that's the real challenge. And I have a lot of different types of effects I use that they're real. So like if I want to cut like an arm, it'll look like I really cut an arm. I won't have a computer do it. There'll be blood. You'll see a knife or something. So that's kind of the difference. Sorry about that. Somebody keeps calling. That's not unusual. But yeah, imagination's important. But like the one thing I would say is, I think everybody has a really, really great imagination. It's just about getting the courage to put that idea onto paper. You know what I mean? Write it down. No matter if you think you've got a good idea, write it down. It doesn't have to be a perfect finished product right away. It can just be a note, and write it down. And that was the hardest thing to overcome. Is I'd have a great idea and I'd be like, well, I don't have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then you let it go. It took a point where I'm like, well, that's an interesting idea, and then writing it down. So it's there. It's something you can look at on paper, come back to, and then say, okay, that is a good idea. So how do we get there? What are the things that surround this idea to make it possible? And honestly, the best thing you can do once you have that line written down, it leads to the next step, which is just to write it out. Just write it out. Even if the first time you write it, it's garbage. Even if you run into like a roadblock or something, then you step away. You know what I mean? Then you walk away from it for a bit, and you can think. When you separate yourself from something, it kind of opens those pathways, and then you can come back, and eventually you'll have a unique thing that you created that's all yours. But it never would have been there if you didn't just write the idea down in the first place. You should never assume an idea is bad. It might go nowhere, but at least if you write it down, if you get in the habit of writing them down, well, the one idea might not go anywhere, but the other idea, the next one, that might go somewhere, or it might evolve into something completely different. Like, your YouTube channel, for example, and podcast it's an incredible idea. It's like, what I learned about it, I'm like, wow, that's just a phenomenal idea. Like, that's like a living documentary, and just what an intense connection to the world with this idea, and then to push it. And I think, between putting your ideas on paper and actually, having something like that, and having what I would call the courage to reach out to people like you do, of all walks of life, that's like the other hardest thing to do. So really, it sounds simple, but if it just comes down to like, write down an idea and say hello to someone. That's it. Write a sentence and say hello. Those are like the two. If you can get over those hurdles, you can use that imagination and your passion and create something. You really can. So that's what I would say.
And what is filmmaking to you?
What is it to me?
Yeah.
Man, oh boy, I think that it has to be a visual story. It has to stimulate something in you. Um, that would be, so if you're watching it, you should have the entire idea. From the beginning to the end, you should fully understand what the story is and how it's playing out and who the main character is, what their journey is, why, and it should be, you should set when you make a movie, there should be a set of rules for the world you're creating, and you shouldn't break them. So when movies manage to do that, when there manages to be a character arc and then a story that makes sense, and the character does the things that you would expect them to do, and the rules of the world that's been created stay the same, I think that's cinema. Um, there are exceptions to it. David Lynch can do whatever he wants, and it's amazing. He takes movies, and it's almost like he's taken a dream and made it real, where there's not a definable beginning or end. You're not necessarily sure what happens. Characters can even change midway through his film, but he's David Lynch. Like he's a genius. One of the genuine genius filmmakers that's ever lived, if not number one. He's an artist. His brush is the camera, and his writing. Um, I other than having that level of skill, I think that's it. A good. Sometimes you'll watch a movie and you're like, all right, we're with this person. Then all of a sudden there's a scene where that person is nowhere involved. They have no idea what's happening in that scene, and it takes me right out, because I'm like, well, who are we with? Who are we right now? Where are we? How does our guy know this is happening? He can't. If he finds it out later, okay, but that you can get away with it. But I like it when the consistency stays there. That's so. I think if you create a world, the world has rules, and if you follow them and you stay true to the characters you've created, so that the characters follow their rules, that's cinema. You've told your story visually from a perspective and created a world that you stuck with.
So as an artist, filmmaking is an art. So you are completely into eyes and ears. You want to connect with the eyes and ears of the person who is watching the visual that you created.
Yes,
So
yes. So what's your favorite movie that you've
Avatar,
ever seen? Which one? Avatar?
Avatar, yeah.
Okay. So in the original Avatar, I haven't seen it in a long time, but you have the guy who's paralyzed from the waist down, and he connects into the Navi world where he can move around and everything. And but we're not always his perspective. That's okay, because the perspective is James Cameron is a genius, and he does the fly on the wall storytelling of that. So what he does is he establishes a world, then he establishes the characters and rules of the world and how they all work together, and it's perfect. He when they go into the Navi Avatar and work within the Navi community, what's amazing about that is that he's already set up that this is a human, and these other humans want this unobtainium, I believe, and you get the interaction of how this corporation and these people that are there to get it works, how that world works. Then he makes you a different type of species and puts you in that world, and you see how that world works, and they are consistent. And not only that, the people in the Avatar, they're overlapping. Sigourney Weaver's overlapping, and I forget the actor's name. He's overlapping as well. So they're both part of both worlds, two separate worlds, the rules are always followed, and then those worlds collide at the end, and the resolution takes place in both realms. That's incredible. There's a lot of ways to ruin that and to fail to try and do something like that, and he doesn't. It took Star Wars many movies to create a recognizable universe and kind of a where we're going and knowing, and then all these books and everything, so you understand the world. And James Cameron did it. 2 worlds, 1 movie. He did it. I haven't seen the movie since it came out, 15 years ago, and I remember everything I just told you. I've not seen the movie. That's how good it was. I remember everything he said. But I think James Cameron is a perfect film. He's a perfect filmmaker. He's never made a bad movie. I don't think he ever will. Like twice he's made the best sequel of all time. I mean, he made Aliens and he made Terminator 2. Titanic. If you want to talk historical, there's a romance in there. It's incredible what he's able to do. And that one, he's, he was restricted by real events. He was restricted by the 1912 sinking of the Titanic. And real people he knew to be on it. And he still managed to create a story that fits into actual things that happened. And it fits in seamlessly. And we're always in Rose's head. That's the other thing. And the perspective, we're always with Rose's perspective and those in her immediate orbit. He's amazing. So you get the exact idea when you look at Avatar. You know who all the characters are. You know what their motivations are. You understand the rules of both worlds, and he sticks to those rules and he sticks to those characters. That's exactly. And that's imagination run wild. That's what I mean. Like Jim Cameron can make that world real to me. I don't know that I could make a surrealist world like that. I would need somebody to design that world. I could imagine something like it, but I would need someone else to come in and create that world. And I don't know how anybody could make it look as visually perfect as it did, especially for almost 15 years ago. It was so far ahead of its time. So great choice in movies and directors, and that's a classic example of yes. That's imagination translated perfectly so that somebody like you fully understand what was in the heads of the people that created it. That's exactly right. So well done.
And what is your biggest influences? What influenced you most?
I think Spielberg's number one. Steven Spielberg. It's just, I was born in 1980. The first movie I ever saw in a movie theater was E.T. And I've never forgotten it since. I love it to this day. And then later on, I saw Indiana Jones and Jaws and Close Encounters, and then everything he's ever made. I haven't seen West Side Story, though I really want to. And there's a whole different set of rules for musicals, which he follows. Like there's rules to make a musical work or not work, and he makes it work. So he would be the biggest one because he sort of almost when I look back on my childhood, I almost see it through a Steven Spielberg style lens. Like real experience I had feel like Spielberg shot them. There's always conflict and things look, when he shot E.T., the camera is always at the height of Elliot, the child. It's never up at the height of an adult. So we're always at Elliot's height. And he's so connected with E.T. and they're roughly the same height. The camera always stays, and we're always with one of them, and they're connected. And it's magical. So I would say he would be number one for me. Other ones, Stanley Kubrick, just possibly a terrible human being to deal with, but he made these visually and auditorily stunning films. Um, and along those lines, the Coen brothers for more recent ones. Ari Aster did Hereditary and Midsommar, which are, if you haven't seen them, they're horrifying. I mean, they are terrifying horror films, but they're amazing. Like people like that, Andrei Tarkovsky from Russia, who died, many years ago, only made 7 films, but they're so gorgeous, and you get tapped into the emotion. And then you got David Lynch and Werner Herzog. Those are the people I love. Like, I love them. I love what they do. Agnes Varda out of France would be way up there for me. And then I would say the newest director on the list that I just admire is Julia Ducournau out of France. She did Raw and Titane. Both They're both just like brutal horror movies, and but they're amazing. There's just an incredible story underneath. Um, and Titane itself was very David Lynch-esque, but she tells a story where you can clearly tell there's like a double message behind everything she's shooting. There's what you're seeing, and there's what it symbolizes. And I think she marries symbolism and literalism together. Just she's magnificent. So it's a long list of great directors out there, and an equally long list of great writers. I would probably say.
So these great directors coming with the fantasy stories and having a great storytelling capacity and ability, and they are able to communicate with the viewers and able to create the emotion that they wanted, and they are getting it. And what is working for them to get the output that they want, and what kind of uh, what kind of things that they do in order to make this quality product which will make viewers to feel the emotion that director is feeling or felt.
That's a great question. It, and that's where the magic is, because these directors, you don't have a choice as an audience member who's into the film. They shoot it and direct it in such a way, and it's written in such a way and acted in such a way that if they want you to feel anxious, you will feel anxious. You won't be able to control it. If they want you to feel sad, you're going to feel sad. Happy. Your senses get hijacked by the great directors that can do that, and you will have no choice but to feel not only emotions, but feel the specific emotions that they want you to feel. And that's not, and sometimes it's very uplifting, um, but in a horror movie, it can be incredibly dreadful. The French film Amélie is just so beautiful. It's uplifting. I don't even like romantic comedies, and it's so good that I have no choice but to feel joy watching it, and to feel heartbreak for this woman when things go wrong. And you want all these other characters that you barely see to find love and success because she wants it. And even if you see it for just a second, you're forced. The flip side of that would be it's a fairly controversial film, Irreversible by Gaspar Noé. He's an Argentine who has, I think, either dual citizenship or lives primarily in France, and he made this movie Irreversible, which I don't want to spoil the plot for anyone who hasn't seen it. I would say if you are likely to be triggered, or if you've been a victim of trauma of any kind, I would not recommend watching the film at all. But what he does two things. He shoots it in reverse. So the last scene, the first scene of the movie is the last scene, and you end the movie with the first scene. So he does that. But for the first 15 or so minutes, he puts this very weird, very low bass line under the movie that's almost like a robot, like but like bassy and deep, and it causes a sensation of feeling dizzy and sick. Like you have no choice; you're going to feel, that way. Some more than others. What it will do to most people is make you feel a sense of dread and discomfort. But many people at the Cannes Film Festival passed out during the initial screening during that first 15 minutes. And what's crazy is the most difficult part of the movie, the most violent, most awful, maybe the worst part of any film I've ever seen comes after that. So people were passing out and had to leave even before the worst part of it happened. And then I guess, another good example, David Cronenberg, the Canadian filmmaker. I love him. He made Scanners, The Fly, The Brood, Crimes of the Future, his most recent movie, History of Violence. He comes up with this, he uses body horror as a metaphor. And he'll show the most horrible act of mutilation. And your entire instinct tells you that you want to turn away. But he shoots it in such a way that you just have to watch. You have to see what's going to happen, or if in the scene in Videodrome, a guy puts a VHS into his stomach, like a cassette tape, into his stomach, into a hole that's grown there, and it is grotesque, and you just can't turn away from it. You have to watch, and that's a talent to make somebody want to turn away, but you can't. So I would say like the best directors force you to feel exactly the way they want to do, with camera angles, sound, visual, interesting storytelling, and great performances by the actors, of course.
So, do they see the movie in their imagination before they tell it to the world?
I think they do. I think they have to. You know, for me, I've thought out every shot of this movie from start to finish. I've written it down. Weirdly, I can take great photographs. I can make a movie. I can describe it very well. I can't draw at all. If I were to try to draw, like, here's what I want you to, it would be stick figures. It would look terrible, terrible. But yeah, they've planned everything meticulously. Um, every angle, I'm curious to rewatch Avatar again, actually, just because of how they shoot certain people. I think we see a lot of people from below because our main protagonist is in a wheelchair. So he has to look up at all these people. But then when he's a Navi, we don't see the Navi from below. We see them from up high and how much bigger they are than those people that he looks up to the people when he's a person. But when he's in the Avatar, he's looking down on people because he's a giant 9 foot tall, creature. Sam Worthington, that's the actor. So yeah, I think I guarantee it's in their heads. I mean, you have to make changes sometimes. So sometimes what's in your head you can't have happen. Like Spielberg wanted the shark to be in Jaws a lot more than it was, but it didn't work. So he's like, well, I have to change my vision. So we'll just, make the audience know the shark is nearby and let them picture it themselves, and it works. Genius, just like Alfred Hitchcock level genius. It's incredible.
So, how they are able to get this communication skill, telling exactly what they feel and getting the response exactly that they wanted?
It's a mixture of a lot of different elements. One, the camera has to be in the right place, focused on the right angle. The characters have to be set up a certain way. The lighting has to be right. The background if you can see the background, needs to be a certain way. Um, you know, there's a lot of different aspects to camera blocking, camera and setting up, and how you do a shot, whether it's a close up or from very far away, whether you're push in or pull out. Um, it's I guess a couple basic things would be that if you're right on somebody's face and they take up the entire screen, like that's where your entire focus is, and depending on how the lighting is around them, it's going to give you a sense of like dread or a sense of happiness or closeness. If somebody is just kind of sitting in the foreground of and there's a big empty background, or they're off to the side and you see an empty room, that's going to kind of create a state of dread. So it's all in how the camera is, and then the sound is a big deal. The music that's used, how they play with sound. It'll different sounds, different music, just like any of your favorite songs create different emotions. So it has to be all this coming together of dozens of elements, and trusting people to create those elements as you've envisioned them or as you've heard them, and then you put it together and you get that emotion. So it's a lot. It takes a lot of different talented people, and then of course you have to have the actors and actresses be likable, or to have the audience identify with them. They have to play a character that you care about. So that's the vitally important part.
And also there is balance in emotion and logic. How this happens?
That's a great. It doesn't always. I mean, sometimes the logic falls apart right away. Um, if you break down the logic of any movie that has aliens, it fails. Just because what the nearest star with a planet around is about 4,000 light years from here. So an alien, even if an alien lived there, they would have to plan a 4,000-year trip to get here to look at us for whatever reason, and they would have to know we're there. I mean, so the logic of almost any alien movie falls apart. Um, Time travel, same general idea. Even though Einstein and Newton and Stephen Hawking and many other great physicists have thrown out there the laws that say it's possible, hasn't happened yet. And if there's a time machine, you can really only go back as far as whenever the time machine was built. So, there's certain things that kind of get thrown apart pretty quickly. Any movie that involves moving off of Earth, that's a whole other. So you don't always get the logic part of it, and sometimes you don't need to. Like if you're just going for an emotion, you know, that's fine. But if you start breaking things down, like the movie Groundhog Day, he just wakes up living the same day over and over again. Well, that's ridiculous, but it works because it's awesome, and Bill Murray is hilarious, and so and it's written well. So like, if you're gonna do something that completely destroys logic, um, you have to throw it out there that they don't care. The audience doesn't care that it destroys logic. Any monster movie's that way. There's no ghosts. There's no vampires. I mean, nobody's shown me that a vampire or a ghost is real in objective reality yet. And yet, I am fully in on a good vampire movie, like a Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is a Persian, the Persian American Mexican film. I think I can't remember the three countries. No, Persian, British, American vampire western by Anna Lilian Amirpour. She's Iranian, and then moved to England and then the United States, which is an incredible perspective to have. Culturally, her perspective is one of a kind as a Iranian English American woman, who does a vampire movie, shoots it in black and white, and it's a western. That's just incredibly cool. But you're right. The first scene shows her skateboard. That's the other thing. It's a vampire skateboarding, and it all sounds crazy but when you see it, it's so perfect. You don't care that the logic that no vampires exist doesn't matter in a vampire movie. You don't care about it. So as long as the rules are followed for whatever that movie is, or you like the character, you're good. And she seems to only kill bad people. That vampire in that movie. So you're with her. She's cool. And then yeah, that's the thing. You can take liberties with logic or create complete and total falsehoods or, you know, completely illogical premises as long as it's a compelling story and as long as it's shot well and acted well, your audience isn't going to care. I mean, the very idea of Avatar is ridiculous, but man, I love that movie. So, um, or Quentin Tarantino going back and having people kill Hitler. Well, that didn't happen, but it doesn't matter because it's Inglourious Basterds. Great movie. So it's okay.
So, these great directors that you mentioned, who created great visuals and created wonders and made millions of people to connect with their imagination and their visuals, are they emotionally intelligent to understand the intelligence of the viewer?
I think they have to be. Um, you know, even somebody like Stanley Kubrick, who's purported to be a very cold person from every understanding I have of him, and George Lucas, who's been known to be fairly disconnected from his actors, even as far back as Star Wars. I, you know, it's I don't think you need to be an emotional or emotionally warm person to understand human emotions. Uh, I think there has to be some sort of I think there has to be some sort of internal empathy, even if the person isn't empathetic, in order to give you a successful emotional experience. Not always the case. I think there are times when some directors have probably been saved by their editors and saved by their cinematographers, to the point where something that would have been cold gets warmed. I think Star Wars was largely saved by its actors. You know, just kind of acted the way they felt they should based on the script. If you just read the script of Star Wars, it's not. It doesn't work. Like if you read it, you're like, well, this is dry and weird and none of it makes sense. But when it's up there on screen and you've got the actors who have said, well, I'm going to try acting this way and I'm going to try acting this way, and well, it somehow becomes this thing that's emotional for generations of people. It's a beloved franchise. I certainly love the original few Star Wars, and I've liked a couple of the the shows and the movies since. Um, but I think I think there are ways to get around it. I don't think you necessarily have to be emotionally in tuned, um, to direct a movie that triggers good emotions, but you do have to have people working with you that can display that emotional response. Um, you know, even in spite of that, even if you're just sitting there visually and not really concerned with if you're more concerned about how beautiful the shot is than anything else, your actors can save you, and your camera people and editors can save you, and definitely your composer, whoever's doing the score, can save you and create this incredible emotional experience in an emotionless film. I think that's probably happened with Kubrick many times, actually. Hitchcock a few times probably, but I don't know. I think there was something in him that he got over his coldness. But it's still it's a team effort.
And uh, the time that you gave me is almost done.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I've been talking your ear off. I apologize. Talking too much.
Yeah, no problem. But I don't want to take more time of yours asking too many questions. Uh, so, uh, the viewers who will be watching and listening to you from anywhere on this planet, if they want to work with you, they want to see the work that you're doing, and if they want to follow you, I'll put your web links in the description of this video on YouTube. People who find our video on YouTube can see your work and also see what you are gonna do, and if they want to work with you, they can do it.
Yeah, I love that. And I appreciate that. And I love talking to you. Um, I believe I probably got more out of this than you did, to be honest. And um, you know, I I love this concept. I love hearing people's ideas and thoughts, feelings, and about their work from around the world. I think it's absolutely incredible. And you know, I hope to someday hear from as many people as you've heard from around the world. So I just think it's a beautiful thing, you're doing, and um, truly, you're putting incredible work out there. Your very thing would make for a great documentary. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your work very much.
And that's what my last question is. As a person who is into logical side, you are a lawyer by profession. You studied the system, other system, how things works in that system, and also you are into creative work, which is completely different. How you are able to shift your mind from that to this?
Well, it's interesting you say that when you're in a trial, it's a lot like directing a film because you have to plan in advance and you have to present what you've planned in such a way that an audience who doesn't know anything will understand it. And then you've obviously got an opponent on the other side telling you differently. But the the sad thing is the law and the legal system is supposed to be one way, and it's supposed to be an ironclad, you know, procedural road. Um, and the laws are there and they should be followed, but it's not always the case. Judges don't always follow the law. They might change their mind about how something's supposed to go on a given day. And you have to be prepared for those variables, and also for the very strange fact that if you're a trial lawyer and you have a case, it's one of the few jobs in the world where at the end of the day you win or you lose. So there are times when I lose, and I think about those a lot more than the times that I win. And I've been fortunate enough to win a lot more than I've lost. But at the end of the day, you still have a win or a loss. Um, and I think that helps because when you try your best and you work very, very hard, and your goal is to keep somebody out of jail who really shouldn't go to jail, and the real life consequences are that somebody might be taken away and locked in a cell for years if your idea and your best approach it doesn't work. It's a burden to carry. Comparatively speaking, once you've done that and you've had those kind of consequences, um, you know, whether somebody doesn't get the line or the plot twist I've put into a movie, well, it could be worse. Nobody's going to jail because of it. Somebody just might say, "Wow, that was a horribly written, what a dumb idea." I can live with that. I've had lots of bad ideas. Everybody has dumb ideas. It's okay. So
Yeah, that's completely a very tough job to shift your mind from one to other. So that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. Oh, it's well, the filmmaking part of it is kind of the relaxation, the self.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. I consider it more. It's more of something I love to do, um, than the thing I do for a living. Even if it should become my only living to do films, I think I'll still see it as just this joyful thing I love to do.
And as a filmmaker, as a visual person, as a viewer, as a passionate producer. So, what is your observation about my work by seeing all my videos and
Oh
my
man,
work?
I think you ask extremely interesting questions. I would say your greatest strength is that the questions are not obvious at all. Like any interview or any show that you see, you can pretty much predict what the questions are going to be. With you, you can't. It's a conversation where everybody gets to learn something. I think that they wouldn't already know. And to me, the thing I love about it is that you know it's not like I have a series of choices and I want to learn about this, learn about. I might never think about wanting to learn about life in Peru and video game design, and yet you present an interview with somebody living in Peru who's telling you all about how these various video games are made and marketed, and it's fascinating. I would never have sought something out. So to me, like a great documentarian or something is when you find a topic and you're doing a topic and a culture that somebody has no knowledge of and may never have expressed an interest in, and then you make them suddenly interested in it. That's, I mean, you've got it. Like with that, you've got it. That's just a that's an incredible skill. Um, and I think only the great documentarians uh, pull it off usually, where it's like, wow, I'm fascinated by how they make Legos, or whatever. It's great if you can make that fascinating and make that interesting. Some way of life that a person doesn't understand, culture a person doesn't understand, a perspective, a job. And you do that successfully. So I think that's a very hard thing to do, and I think you pull it off really, really well.
And talking with experts like you who are already into different uh, jobs and also who are into different countries uh, from different parts of the world, talking with experts like you who did so many things and who observed so many uh, people's work and how they made things possible. Listening to all you people, what I'm going to learn and how I'm going to use this knowledge in my work in coming days.
Yeah, I think you are quickly becoming an expert in people and in I don't know, in humankind. And I don't I think we have precious few experts in humankind. So I think it's a very good thing you're doing and a great idea.
Uh, can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yeah, absolutely. You have my permission to use it for anything you want.
And can I also put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Anything you need. Yeah, absolutely.
And can you spell your social presence to my podcast listeners so that they can,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I'm William Rush on Instagram. It's original cinematic, all one word. ORIGINALCINEMATIC. Original cinematic. Um, and then the Twitter is Rush underscore and underscore Rush 19, and that's the production company that my wife and I have. And you can find everything from those two. So, um, and yeah, William Rush. I'm relatively easy to find. Look for the lawyer or the filmmaker, and you'll get to me.
I'll put your links in the description. and also on the screen as well. They can see it all the complete conversation. And and I'm going to put all your web links. Also, there's conversation on my website as well. They can see complete your biodata, biography with with this conversation on different platforms. And
Excellent.
do you want to say anything to my audience?
Uh, just I thank you for listening to me. I hope I gave any kind of insight whatsoever. And you have very good taste, uh, for subscribing to this YouTube channel podcast. This is an excellent creator out there. So you could be entertained and learn something that's rare. So thank you to all of you out there. Appreciate it.
And about your first film that you're working on.
Yeah, that's it's One for the Road, based on a Stephen King short story that he wrote. It's a sequel to Salem's Lot, which was his second book he ever wrote, and um, there's actually a Salem's Lot movie coming out in April. So the timing is very strange, but this is the short story sequel to that. It'll be at various festivals, and there'll be links to more information when it comes on. And then I can't really talk about the other two films I'm working on yet, but there's a documentary and a pretty violent horror movie that'll be next. So those are already in pre-production, and there'll be links to those when more information is available. Always happy to read a script. Always happy to review a video and give my opinion and input. So anybody that wants to reach out with any questions, I'm very happy to help and encourage anyone in whatever ways I can.
All the best for all your projects and for your work as well. And I will expect great work from you.
Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, and I'll certainly be in touch with it. And I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing more of these excellent interviews.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Keep going. Keep doing. Keep inspiring people.
Hey, you as well. You as well, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.